Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining us as we blare it out. Just want to say, you guys follow us, subscribe, like, and you are in for a treat today. I can't tell you how many people have been blessing us lately on this podcast and our YouTube channel. And David and I have realized where this space is going and where we want it to continue going. And that is to get our local nonprofits, our heroes, our queens on here and be able to tell you guys what they're doing in our community, how they're helping and putting the action in place, which is just amazing. And a lot of these nonprofits need more resources to continue this help. And we're just so excited about today because today we have the queen herself, Desiree Cook. Thank you, Desiree.
Hi, Desiree.
Hello. Thank you both for allowing me to be in your presence today. I'm super excited to talk about the work of IMU 360 and just be able to have conversations about improving our communities.
Yes.
Yeah.
So explain to our listeners, what is IMU 360?
So IMU 360 is a grassroots 501c3 nonprofit. What it means is that on a worldwide level, we all have a story.
Yeah.
And with those stories, a lot of times we're ashamed or embarrassed to share the story of being judged. But I feel once you share your truth, and as I was able to share my truth, my past, I am truly liberated. So what that means is that when you share your truth in a comfortable spaces, you'd be surprised of someone else that you're sharing that with to say, you know what? I have similar stories. I am you.
Oh, I love that.
And how do we help each other arrive at a sense of wholeness or a complete turnaround? So it is really a call to action.
Yes.
And so I felt that we have been muted with our trauma stories for way too long. And when you do that, it is a form of liberation. It's a form of freedom to be a better you.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah, I agree.
So when did this idea get transformed into an action?
In my living room.
Ooh, I love that.
In November in 2013, it was my husband, my sister-in-law, and brother-in-law. We were just chopping it up, just talking. And I always had a desire to help others, despite my past. And so I said, I'm tired of children within our community, primarily foster care, because that is my passion, that look like their circumstance. I feel children, if you're experiencing homelessness or in foster care, you shouldn't look like it. So rather than talk about it, I decided to really collect hygiene for girls only in the beginning. So I started telling friends and family, but let me just back up. On that night, IMU 360 was born.
Yeah.
Created, the email address as if manifestation.
Yeah.
I really believe in manifestation and fruition.
Agree.
And friends and family started coming over, bringing hygiene. And I was like, oh, this is really happening.
Yeah.
And so quick.
Yeah, and so quick. And so, taking advantage of the support from my family and friends, we started what we call pack the bag parties. And having hygiene out, and we would, the body wash, the lotion, deodorant, and just passing the bag around. And we made our first delivery Martin Luther King Day of 2014 to a 10-girl group home.
Wow.
And on that day, with my family, my husband, we customized the bags. I did call the group home and ask for the ethnicities, which was very, very important to me because there is no one size fits all for hygiene.
Yeah, and that's important. I don't think a lot of people know that.
No.
So, because I don't think I would have known that. To be honest, I just think, okay, deodorant, toothpaste, shampoo. So explain that to us.
So first, as an African American woman, our needs are so different because of the melanin in our skin, as well as the curl in our hair, the curl pattern. But also by being a licensed cosmetologist, also helped me the anatomy of all ethnicities, right, and their physical makeup. And so I found that we were using more trial size type hygiene to give to the underserved population. So first, from me, it had to be new and full size.
Yes, love that.
Right? And then to customize it according to each person's uniqueness, whether it's from newborn or to adulthood. But the customization, Arizona pretty makes, or I should say Tucson makes up Caucasian, Hispanic, Native American, and African American.
Yeah.
So we were very intentional in creating hygiene that has more moisture in it for the African American or blended ethnicities. Thank you so much. And, for the hair and the skin and things of that nature. So really to honor people's uniqueness.
I love that.
That is fabulous.
It sends a message.
I love that.
I think that's the first time I've ever heard of that. Ever. Like that's,
Well, because what she's saying, you're not part of your circumstance.
Yeah.
And what I want to do is I want to go back to your story.
Absolutely.
Of how this was such a big deal for you and why.
So I really draw a clear line of understanding of my why. I came from a 2-family home, traveled the world, only child, considered upper middle class on the East Coast. But I do want to say trauma will change the direction of your life. And at the age of 17, my father passed away from pancreatic cancer, which was a very fast-moving disease. And so with that, when my father was leaving with the last breath in his body, I said to him, "Daddy, I feel like I just died too." So words are very, very powerful, whether it's a negative or whether it's a positive. And I spoke those words and my life changed. Literally, not only did I not have the father, I'm in mourning of the loss of my father, who was a present father, but then I needed something to numb my pain. My coping skills. I'm 17, and I became a teen mom, so guys, right, to numb my pain, and then the adrenaline of selling drugs, and then it came down to the fact of me using drugs, again, numbing my pain because I never had an opportunity to really heal, and that really turned into a 15-year journey of full-fledged drug addiction. And during that time, I had children. I had 6 children, as a matter of fact, by the time I was 27. And that affected my family, my addiction. You'd be surprised, even though, I want to educate people, because you think you have to be doing physical harm or emotional harm for your child to be removed from your home by DCS. Mine was just not being present. The drugs were more powerful than, right, the welfare of my children. And so 4 of my children were removed, and I'll never, ever forget that day. My caseworker, I thought she was the enemy. And she came with the police expecting, because she knew I loved my children so much, and it was, get your kids' coats, we have to remove your children. And I immediately blacked out, took a bar stool, broke my living room window, and my 4-year-old daughter, who is now 32 years old, was like, "Mommy, stop. And so that was so heartbreaking that my child was saying, even though this situation was beyond so heartbreaking to me to lose my children, but that's where the brokenness really, really began, because I'm really empty. Right. And so with their removal, rather than, you would think that I would hurry up and get myself together, but I didn't know how. I didn't have the tools.
Especially after so long having lived that way, and healing or coping in such a manner.
And you feel broken. You're broken. And I don't even know how one gets out of that situation
I was in a deep, deep hole. And I always said to friends, that I got high with, actually, that, my life will never be whole unless I have my children back. I'll never have my 360. So I said that back then.
Wow.
The numbers 360 were so profound to me.
Yeah.
And so I continued in my addiction. I did try to get myself together. I called my mother, who has been my warrior queen and my Shira since the very beginning. And I said, "Mom, I'm ready." And so she lived here in Arizona at the time, in Phoenix, and now she lives in Tucson. And she made that call, and my mother was here. And mind you, she was raising my 2 oldest daughters. So now I have 6 children that I have no relationship with, right? And so my mom came. We took a plane back to Phoenix, Arizona. She literally helped me kick heroin, where she thought I was dying.
Oh, that's a hard one to
It was hard.
kick.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. I was addicted to heroin and crack cocaine for, 14, 15 years.
That's a long time.
It's a long time.
Yeah.
And she nursed me back to health, and I felt good enough to apply for jobs. Got a job. As a matter of fact, doing cosmetics at JCPenney. So that was a real big boost of self-esteem coming from the lifestyle that I came from.
Yeah.
So to make a long story short, I did well in Phoenix, Arizona, trying to build a relationship with my 2 older daughters, but flying back and forth to New York to have visits with my children. So I was doing well. And then boredom set in. The excitement, the thrill of the hunt type thing.
Yep.
And I relapsed. And that relapse really destroyed the trust that I did build with my mother and my children. And that relapse, I
Probably with
created.
yourself too.
Oh my goodness, I was so disappointed and just really took a whole new identity on the west side of Phoenix, disappeared. And then during that, disappearing act, obviously I'm committing, crimes to supply my addiction. And that led me to going to prison.
While you were in Phoenix? Here.
While I was in Phoenix.
Do you think that's what saved you or did you, when you were in prison, how long were you there for?
3 years.
3 years. Did you get the recovery that you needed there?
So when I went to prison, of course, when the judge was saying, I'm like, you've got to be kidding. Like, not me. I just thought I was just too fly and too everything to be going to prison.
Yeah. You're like, excuse me, this is not the reservation I booked.
Judge, not prison, right? But that was, her decision, obviously. And so with that being said, I made a decision with that sentence that I had to come out better than the way I went in. There's no way I could be in here for 3 years and come out with the same mentality and the same lifestyle, right? That would be a waste of my time as well as, my family, my loved ones' time. So I inhaled every program, every opportunity that came my way to stay busy. I started, walking and just really, really transforming myself. And that was my pause time to kind of look in the mirror and reintroduce Desiree to Desiree.
I love that. You needed that. You needed that
reintroduction. It saved my life. I tell people all the time, prison saved my life. So I didn't come out angry or bitter in any type of way. But then you have to remember I had great parents that instilled amazingness in me. And I had to kind of revert back to a lot of the teachings that my parents had given me to come out better. And so I was released April 1st, 2002. And
April Fool's Day?
April Fool's Day. I was like, oh my goodness, is it real? Is this real date? You know what I'm saying? Right. And so I was in Maricopa prison, and then I had maybe a year left, and one of the COs was like, young, roll up, which means that you're about to move. And I'm like, well, where am I going? And so she was like, they're shipping you to Tucson. I'm like, Tucson? I was like, I'm not trying to go to Tucson. I want to finish my time here. But God had another plan. Ooh, did he have another plan? And so while I'm fighting it, I'm packing, I'm, having a whole fit. But she was like, actually, it's going to be a good thing. At the time, my maiden name was Young. She was like, Young, it's really going to be a good thing because of the simple fact that you'll be a part of a work furlough program.
Oh, amazing.
Oh, even better.
So I went to the Tucson prison. It was obviously all women's prison here, SACRAC, which is by A Mountain. And I had a little bit more time I needed to do before I was eligible. And I started working at EG's downtown across from the courthouse. And, I don't know if it was my upbringing, because I came, really from upper middle class. I'm like, EG's. I just really was not just settling for EG's, right? But I was grateful for the opportunity to be out, and I would go to, what is it called, the Ronstadt, catch the bus back to prison, right? This was my routine. But I wasn't satisfied with just working at EG's. So on the bus, I met some gentlemen that worked for a call center. And they would say, you should apply. But their hours were funky. It was like 1 p.m. to 9. So I had to talk to my counselor. And so he was like, Young, this prison has never done no 1 to 9 type hours. It's like a 9 to 5 type thing because for my safety, being out at night as well. And then, what do they call like absconding? And so he said, okay, we're going to give you this opportunity. So I was the first inmate ever to be able to work or have those hours approved, 1 to 9. So I worked at a call center, which gave me the ability to make so much more money. Right?
Bonuses, all that.
Yeah, I know. It's like, working at EG's, like I'm only going to make so much, right? Because you're able to save so that you get your own apartment. So I did so well in 2 months. Got an apartment. I was released April 1st. Had a fully furnished apartment because I would, leave early, set up my apartment and decorate it because I just could not wait for this day.
Oh,
that's a big deal.
Here I am, a resident now of Tucson, Arizona, and met my husband 3 weeks after I got out. We are now married 21 years in August.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And the mission was reunited with my children, healing. And you have to remember, my 2 oldest daughters were so angry. They hated me. Hated me because I lied to them so many times. So I had to own my truth. I had to learn how to forgive myself.
Which is so hard. It's so hard because we always want to blame everybody else, And
you also want to blame yourself.
Yeah.
We have so much self-sabotage and self-hatred. And doing that deep dive of forgiving yourself. I've gone down that path where I've self-sabotaged and really thought I was not worth what God was trying to bless me with.
Ooh. How did that?
It was hard. It was so hard because I had to really realize the pain that I caused, not only my children, but my mother. There was many times that she didn't know where I was because I'm in a whole different state, or if I was living or dead.
If you're alive.
And I remember she had told me one time, I was talking to her on the phone, and she was like, I really hate to answer the phone late at night. And I was like, why, Mom? And so she was like, I hate the fact that it might be the call that my only child is dead in somebody's alley. And you would think that would be my wake up. But it wasn't, but I never forgot that. Right. And so, in rebuilding a relationship with my children was not easy because I had to learn how, number one, to love myself. Had to learn how to be a wife because I had 6 children, was never married. Learn how to be a mother and run a household. So I was learning, and then had a daughter with my husband in 2003. So I went from no kids to eventually getting my children back because my mom, so what happened was I was so non-cooperative with the DCS company or people, I should say, back east. My kids were going up for adoption.
Oh gosh.
So my mother, being the queen that she is, she was like,
no way.
Nope.
I'll take them. So my mom went from only having me now, only child, and she went to having my 2 oldest daughters. Now she has 6 of my children, a widow. And, she's learning how to navigate. So that put a lot of responsibility on my two oldest daughters to now help, because her mother's, she's a private duty nurse, so, she had a good income, but she was busy trying now to keep a roof over 6 kids, head. So I was truly blessed, because I think about the kids that we support now. I'm sure we'll talk about it. Could be my children.
Yeah.
So I was forever thankful for my mother being the glue. Mm-hmm. So when I got my children back, I was getting them like one daughter, then I got my son, and then I got my last two, like not Christmas break, summer break. So they came to visit, and they were like, we want to stay. Oh. So I went from no children now to 5 children in the household.
Wow. What a blessing that you have. But all of these trials, everything that you have gone through, and you end up then this spirit, or what do you think just overcame you to start then from this, experiencing it as a mother who has lost or have their children taken away, and then experiencing it again as a mother who has worked so hard to get them back. And then all of a sudden this 360 is just coming in your head constantly. You're hearing this. And you're, what is it? What's the thing that just goes, I have to do this. I have to help.
I have to. Number one, I felt like I owed myself that. Yeah. I had taken from myself. You have to remember I was involved in prostitution, all kinds of, crimes, just horrible experiences. And that's why I was sharing that, I've come close to death so many times, in the lifestyle that I live. It was very dark life, when it comes to being shot at, or guns to my head, or just walking, in the street 3-4 o'clock in the morning, where a lot of victimization happens. I, was grateful that I was alive. Now I understand why those God's shield. Nope, I got something on her life. Let me put the shield again, right, from my own stupidity, because I got work for you to do. You don't do, you know. Yeah, I'm saving you because I got work for you to do.
Oh, big time.
And so with that, I realized I owed myself that, right, and then I owed my children. Right, I owed them that, to give them the opportunity to thrive in life. I, was cheating them. And then more importantly, my mom, she was such a good mom. So I wanted her to not have to worry, but to be proud of her only child. And so that kept me going. Really all love from every direction. And then of course having the support of my husband was amazing, because I never had such toxic relationships. So now to learn what a we're learning together. What is a healthy relationship?
Scary.
And that sometimes can be scary, is having a healthy relationship, because then you want to push that one away because it's healthy.
Because you
what's going on with this?
Self-sabotage.
Yeah, like this is not right.
Yeah, I don't deserve this. I deserve chaos. I deserve all of these bad things. And God's trying to tell you, no, here's this gift. Here's this gift. I see so many big things from you. And sometimes we're trying to swat it away. Like we're not worth it. We're not worth it. Yeah. But God repeatedly was telling you you were.
Absolutely. And I think for me, it was saying I am worthy, because again, I never knew what a healthy relationship was, or how to even be faithful to somebody, right? And so I was determined to really reconstruct my past behaviors. Right. And even, I used to be a heavy cusser, just a whole mess. Yeah. And I had to retrain myself not to appear to be angry through cuss words. I wanted to learn different ways to express myself. So it was really a transformation. And that's why that mirror is so important for me, because you talk about doing an ugly cry. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And really peeling back the layers of my old behavior day by day by day, into where I'm at now. Yeah. It was difficult. Oh, it was difficult. It was ugly. It was the healing process. But, again, on the other side, I had to realize I am worth this ugly process. And, healing with my children, because the damage that I caused with my children's sense of abandonment, the sense of trust. Right. Yeah. So, and still to this day, that's why I'm so about breaking generational cycles, because I experienced it in my own family, the trauma that is attached to that. So with that being said, I had a great support system. I had a family that loved me, so that kept me going. And I, kind of knew there was something, better in my life. I was like, I don't want to be working at a call center the rest of my life, and I really don't want to be a hairstylist the rest of my life either.
Taylor knows was a hairstylist for years.
I loved it. I was like, I can't know this thing for me forever. I gotta get out.
I just didn't want to be behind the chair, and I love trust and believe. I love my clients and the experiences behind the chair, but I just didn't want to do that all my life.
Well, you had something bigger in your ear calling you.
Yeah, absolutely. And you knew that.
And I didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
Though. Like, this was the farthest thing from my mind doing the work that I'm doing. But I think all of that, my past is like, I really understand now why, because now I could say to someone, I really understand. I am you. When it comes to low self-esteem, I'm also a survivor of domestic violence. So it was very little that I did not experience.
Yeah.
Well, and I think God puts you in those positions too, so you have empathy and compassion for your journey and for what you're supposed to be doing. I think that, we call them God's warriors. I was like, why is it that God's warriors are always pushed to, the limit? Like, and it's the older I get, or the more I'm going through my own journey, I'm starting to understand that. And hearing yours, I'm like, oh my gosh, especially for what she's doing. I'm like, yeah, absolutely. I think because now you're able to bring people in with trust, because you can meet them where they're at, exactly where they're at, without judgment, and be like,
she's been through it all. You've been through it all. So anybody that's going through it or gone through it, I've been there. And like she says, I am you. That's so powerful. If I were to just go and talk to, somebody and people would go, you don't understand, you don't relate. How do you know what I feel going through this?
It's frustrating.
You have been through it. You get to see, you get to explain. You say, hey, I've been there too, and I've put the work in. I overcame it. You can too, which is amazing.
That part. Both of you hit it right on the nail. And so I do want to be very, transparent for that reason, especially for the population I work with. Their trust issues, they have wall after wall up, right? And that clinical approach or that psychological approach, they have like, blah, 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 blah. They don't even want to hear it. But when you just come real and raw with it, that's how you build relationships. And so I do want to back up and say that when I was released from prison, I had to do an anger management class. And so the lady, I wish I could think of her name now to find her, just to give her a really big hug, because I really appreciated her. And she said, why did you do drugs? And I explained to her about my father and that there was a void. And she explained to me, if you are doing drugs, and I don't mean just marijuana, but hardcore drugs, there's usually some type of void or something that you have not addressed, whether it's from childhood up. And so she said, because you explained to me about what the death of your father had did to me. And I always remember like, Dad, oh my God, if he only knew that his little girl was doing these certain things, he'd be rolling over, right? And so she said, do me a favor. I want you to write a letter to your father as if he's still here, of what to explain, I should say, what his death and how that impacted you. So I wrote the letter. I have it still to this day in my Bible. And that letter created closure for me. So, because it was a big test. Once I'm released from prison, you could talk all you want when you're behind bars. Oh, I'm going to do this. And the world is going to be beautiful. But once you're released is the true test. So I had to learn how to pay for things, because I did, I was a heavy booster. Shoplifting. So I had to learn how to pay for things. I had to retrain my brain how to problem solve, because my past solution for everything was fighting.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Let's just get them up. I don't want to talk. I know. Let's fight. Violence was,
the answer at that point.
All be all at the time. So I had to learn, my temper and, just because, certain scenarios that I may not have liked, am I going to apply critical thinking and problem solving, all of that. Like it was like I was a brand new baby.
Yeah.
In this world, but grown.
Yeah.
Right.
Just learning how to take your first steps again.
So by her having me write that letter, I mean, it's probably, it's tear stained, right? Gave me closure.
Yeah.
Because I was writing to like, Daddy, if you only knew what you're deaf.
Yeah.
And who your daughter became, so really, really deep. But that helped me kind of face my demons and to continue to grow, because I did not want, from the time of my arrest, I just wanted to continue to grow in whatever that may be, through maybe not through all triumphant experiences, of course, but through losses, whatever.
Through all of life, what it's thrown at you.
Give it to me so that I can learn how to adjust and navigate, through life. And just be what you want to call normal.
Yeah. What's normal?
What's normal?
Yeah.
What's normal?
Just functioning. How about that? A functioning adult.
Yeah.
And because, I tell people all the time, I'm a late bloomer. I did not grow up till I was 35 years old, and that's when I was released from prison.
I love that.
To learn how to pay bills, and that's what I'm saying, a functioning adult, normal.
What I mean by I love that is that so many people think their time is up, or I've been doing this for so long. This is my habit now. This is who I am. Yeah. And you are just this walking, talking, amazing testimony that even at 35, which is not old at all, it's young, but somebody else would say, oh, it's too late by then. Or what am I going to do with my life? Look what you're doing. It's never too late. It's never too late to change, to make things happen, to appreciate what life can be thrown at you, and help people and help yourself.
You have to want it.
You gotta want it.
And I was so hungry.
Open that door up and walk through it, one step at a time. I mean, you are so powerful.
Yeah.
And everything that you've gone through. And that's the thing, if you're going through something like that right now, you can change.
It's possible.
It's possible to, you may be behind the bars 1 minute, but then those don't make it. Once you get out, you're still surrounded by bars. Don't let that life trap you. You've got to be able to see what beauty you can do in yourself and forgive yourself and do these things that God obviously was whispering in your ear the entire time.
Yeah. Clearly.
It's so true. And I tell people all the time, we could be our worst enemy. Sometimes you got to get out the way of you.
100%.
And you put your own handcuffs on.
Yes.
You better find that key.
Oh, get it, girl.
And uncuff yourself.
Yes.
So get out of the way of you. Sometimes we could be our worst enemy.
I feel like most of the time we're our worst enemy.
Worst critic.
Yes.
Right. Self-sabotage.
Or you just get stuck. And you don't know how to get unstuck.
Complacent.
Stuck in fear. Yeah. Complacent's a big one. Yeah.
Or the victimization role. So it's a trigger for me. I don't do well with victimization.
Yeah.
Once you learn how to cope and navigate, you cannot keep going back to use the victimization role to gain respect, or you
weaponize it.
Manipulative, or you know what I'm saying, to kind of get your way.
Yeah.
So either you're gonna heal from that and don't use it, as a crutch.
Yeah. 'Cause I think so many people, when we're going through trauma, we've gone through trauma, right? And I've noticed that there's two different paths you can go through. You can be a conqueror, where then we also have issues of being control. We've got control issues. We don't let too many people in. So then we don't allow ourselves to, be a victim, to forgive ourselves and forgive others, because it's walls up.
Yep.
And then there's the other path where you're constantly the victim and you have an excuse for everything by what has happened to you. And neither one are great, but you've got to find that middle and forgive to move on. When you still hold that burden, you still hold that anger, you still hold that fear, you still hold that pain, it then handcuffs you.
Which is what keeps you stuck.
And then you're stuck. But I agree with you on that. It's been really hard for me to listen to people who they've gone through so many things. And I want to be like, oh my gosh, life's so unfair. It's not fair. Yeah. But then when you start to hear, well, the reason why I did this is because of this, or the reason why I'm doing this is because of this, well, then you're just letting them victimize you all over again.
Yeah. But I think the biggest story too, or the biggest issue with that too, is a lot of people don't realize the story they're telling themselves. And that's the biggest part of healing or making that decision, is understanding what the truth is versus the story that you've been telling yourself your entire life. Yeah. And a lot of the story gets wrapped up in emotions. So a lot of people, like a lot of the times you have to take yourself out of that emotion and just see it for what it actually is first, and then work through the emotions in a very logical sense, which is kind of like a contradiction, because logic and emotions they don't exist together. But if you're able to like say, hey, I'm feeling this emotion, what does that mean?
Yeah.
Because every emotion teaches you something about what you're logically thinking or feeling, and you have to learn how to process those together, and it's not easy to do.
No, it's hard.
It's not easy.
And that's what you were saying about generational
cycles, curses.
Yeah.
And so I think for me, the kicker is we go through life like a robot. We get up, we go to work, take care of our families, but we really put ourselves on the back burner. And a lot of times we go through life but have not really developed self-love.
Oh. True.
So when it comes to self-love, then developing a healthy view of being comfortable in your own skin, nothing like it, and developing a positive self-esteem, which is directly related to your decision-making. Because now if you love yourself and see yourself as a king or a queen or whoever you want to identify as, there's certain people that you won't allow into your world. There's certain decisions that you're at peace with, right? And not regretting, like, oh, because people pleaser. Right? Get stuck in the people pleasing journey, so to speak. So when you have self-love, it really does affect where your future is going.
Yeah.
Right, and the you're not settling or the complacency, right? It's like not over with balance, self-love, not overly egotistical.
Because that's not real self-love.
Right.
That's just you being
fake.
Insecure. And
that's
then
a mask.
it's a mask, and you got to take that off too. And you can always tell the loudest person in the room is usually the most insecure. So
we say it all the time.
I mean, unless it's me with a couple of martinis.
Then I'm just trying to have a good time.
And then I'm like, oh, okay, everything's great. But this is so these things that you're talking about, and your, self-love, self-confidence, not being a victim, you started off this, doing all of this work that you have done, and you started then really wanting to help your community. Now let's talk about, it started off with hygiene products. Where did it go from there?
So, because I was a new kid on the block, I was known as the bag lady. Right here, I'm coming talking about hygiene, which people really could not wrap their minds around hygiene. It was really about housing and food insecurity at the time. People were not understanding the importance of hygiene, and I'm still advocating why. But then during
just like today, I didn't even realize, which is so ridiculous for me not to realize, that when you're buying products, or if I want to donate products, I gotta do it for every single person. It's not a one size fits all.
And if you go into the stores, the health and beauty industry, why are there rows and rows and rows and rows of different products? Why? Because we have the free will of choice for your hair type, your skin type, for whatever it may be. There's all kinds of genres of products available for your uniqueness, right? And so with that, I was going to a lot of meetings, just trying to get my foot in the door to understand this nonprofit sector. Right. But in the meetings that I was going to, various places, I wasn't hearing the word self-esteem. I wasn't hearing positive thinking. I was not hearing self-awareness. What I was hearing was the barcode stigma. Speaking of primarily our children in foster care or those who are unhoused. I was hearing they're a file in the filing cabinet.
Yeah.
So that disturbed me.
Yeah.
Because again, that was personal.
Yeah.
This is all personal for me.
Because that's bringing your babies up now.
Right. So I started thinking, what can we do to change that narrative and develop a self-love language? Yes. We must have, all of us. Yes. But especially kids that are in this situation need that, right? Yeah. So we developed really because I write, I journal, right, to be a better person. It helps me comprehend, right, the changes that I need in my life. So with that, I had a lot of chicken scratch going on. All these books, right, from my own transformation. And so we decided to take that and put it into a curriculum. Wow. Focused on self-awareness, self-esteem, positive thinking, because you're in all these negative situations, and that could become your lifestyle. We have a lot of negative minded people. Yeah. How do we break through now to be more optimistic and more hopeful in life and positive? So we created that. It's copyrighted. It's a 10-week curriculum that helps people that have been muted for way too long be unmuted.
Love that.
And hear their own voice. Yes. Rather than that teacher-student relationship, this curriculum is really about you. And you using your voice and interacting. It's fun, it's engaging, but then it's like, wow, did I say that? Did I say, right? You're catching yourself falling in love with yourself.
Speaking life
back
in your life.
Retraining your mind and adopting a different language that you are used to using. So the curriculum was part 2. Okay. And did really well. We partnered with the Boys and Girls Club. We did pilots to see the direction that it was going. We saw that the kids were eating it and asking, could they participate in the next round, right? They were hungry, right? And changing their coping skills in the club. And calling each other kings and queens. And I am somebody. That's where the movement started, right? And so, now the people that are running the club are like, what in the world is going on? These kids are, and really in checking each other, holding each other accountable, right? So it really does change if you allow it, if you absorb it. Then we started doing it. We thought it was for kids only when we first developed it, for kids that, single parent homes and things of that nature. But then we realized that really it's for all of us. Oh, yeah. So we started doing it with TUSD parents as a parent support group, and just different settings, because again, going back to the original, we all have a story and we function in life and we just go, but never really, take the hint of our own truths. Like, I struggle. I struggle with self-love. I struggle with positive thinking. I'm not the most optimist. So it's a lot of self-checking so that we all can grow together, right? And so then in 2018, this is part 3, which is the biggest project of what we're doing, because you have to remember, I know what it's like to couch surf. I've been unhoused. I've been from pillar to post, right? So, in my addiction, real raw. And, people are not so nice. They expect sexual favors, right? You want to sleep on my couch? Okay.
Yep. What are you going to do for me? Yeah.
So I, understand the struggles of our unhoused youth or young adults. Let's be real. And it hasn't gotten worse. We're talking about early 2000s. You think it's gotten better. It has not gotten better, right?
Because then what are you doing after you hit 18? It's bye-bye sayonara.
And, times have changed. So, people don't get necessarily nicer, right? There's more ways to victimize people. Sex trafficking is real. Human trafficking is real.
All over the place.
Even organ trafficking is very real. So we're talking about a population that is most vulnerable, that really don't have cheerleaders. So those are the ones predators are looking for. Yeah.
That's what they're saying. They're saying that this is...
Hello. Yeah. And 18 to 22 population, if you do research, those are the ones that are slipping through the cracks of our society. So kind of just I just want to put that out there real quick. Now, remember, our goal is to sew them back into the fabric of our community. So in 2018, a fellow hairstylist of mine shared this video on Facebook. It was a woman in Detroit building 25 tiny homes. Mind you, I had just bought a ticket to go to Detroit because my niece was graduating law school.
Oh, wow.
How exciting.
Right. Yeah. So I took it upon myself to reach out to this founder. Her vision was veterans, disabled, and age out foster care. So her target was a lot different, but I had the opportunity, yes, go celebrate my niece graduating law school and meet with this founder.
Yeah.
And she took me under her wing. And we took a tour, and she schooled me, right? The pros and the cons of having an assignment such as creating affordable housing. So she wrote a book. I read her book, studied her book. Make a long story short, I didn't want to copy what she was doing. So in 19 is when I started actually talking about it. Kind of sat on it for a while. And then we developed a committee to build what our housing model was going to look like. So we met at a local coffee shop every Friday, and we're brainstorming. And then in 2020, we were ready, but then here comes COVID, right? To make our announcement, and when we, trademarked the name, and Small Home Experience.
Everything got jumped up in price and everything. I mean, what a time!
And talking about, it's like, well, they'll never let that happen here in Pima County. A lot of naysayers, a lot. I was like, I want to build tiny homes. They're like, what? That's never going to happen here.
Crazy.
It was horrible. But again, and I take this from not only, God, but my ancestors have done nothing but show me resilience and persistence.
Yes.
I embody that. So I was like, I heard people, just get an apartment complex. And so, again, embodying all that God has, done for me and my ancestors. I'm like, no, we're not doing that.
We're not settling.
Yeah. We're not settling.
Yeah.
Done enough settling in my past,
Exactly.
right? So we announced it. It, came to fruition. The office that we had was vacant for 20 years. The lot that we purchased was vacant for 70 years.
Wow.
We were able, because our model is you buy land, we're build 10 at a time.
Yeah.
10 at a time. Why? Is because we can invest easier with 10 at a time. You could build relationships, individual and collective, with 10 underserved youth. So our target became 18 and 22, buy land, build the homes, set them up for success, fully furnished. By owning the land, we're now be able to save half the rent. The rent is $1 a square foot. Our tiny homes are 450 square feet, 1 bedroom, washer and dryer, kitchen, kitchenette, living room, and a patio. Oh. And then in the center, we believe in community.
Yeah,
so there's a gazebo, barbecue pit, and a lot of just, a family oriented, I should say. So we don't like the word transitional or temporary, because that has a lot to do with your psyche, right?
Well, I think it goes back to being a file in a cabinet. It's just so bland.
That's it.
Yeah.
Right. And so we believe in permanent. So it's a 3-year program, saving half their rent for 3 years. They'll have enough to purchase their first starter home, but then also mandated is life skills as well as self-development. But in the life skills, we partner with community members, teaching banking, credit, budgeting, financial literacy, self-defense, safe sex, cleaning, cooking, laundry, all these different things that are obviously haven't been taught in the home and really not taught in schools anymore. So it's a partnership with the community, which I just love, because now we all have invested in our underserved population that were once upon a time called the forgotten ones. We're not doing that. So with that being said, we all win because we're investing in doing our part. But they will leave our program after 3 years, purchasing their first starter home. This is how we believe in ending homelessness, and then for their children's children, because now we have given you the tools to help navigate navigate, and then also to become whole, healed people that the world so deserves. The world deserves whole, healed people.
Yes.
And taxpayers. We're creating taxpayers. They're no longer couch surfing, I should say, or living in motels or their cars. They now have cheerleaders, us. As they walk, we walk with them. As they run or jog, we're jogging and running alongside of them, telling them that you can do it.
Yes.
Right? And building these relationships that we have to build trust, because that's so difficult. It's very emotional.
The trust part is. Oh, are you?
I'm like,
okay?
I know.
Oh, David.
I'm loving this. I'm like, I'm just listening. I'm like, oh my God, this is beautiful. Like, my little heart is so happy.
It's so real. It is so raw.
I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing.
I know. I see. Me and Michelle have talked so many times. You and I have talked. So I'm so on board. You did YPN. We did for celebrity bartending last year, and so I'm just listening to this going, I just hope the whole world listens to this and donates and helps, because not only are you helping these kids find their place in this life, but think about when they've recovered and they have found their way. How many of them are going to want to come back and help?
Yeah. Well, that's why I love them. Like,
so amazing. I mean, everything what you're doing.
Considered to be the forgotten one, and now they have a place to be, and a community and a foundation that they can fall back on. And that's just wow.
And you're somebody. Amazing. That's why it's a movement.
You matter.
I am somebody. You're not what society has said that you are. My job personally, with my personal experience, is to unearth the concrete path that society has laid out for our underserved youth, and to replace it with seeds of hope. So we all can watch them grow and become fruitful, and they have the ability to reach back and pay it forward and change. I know we can't save the world, but our focus is to impact a little speck of the earth, I should say, for the 18 to 22-year-olds that we're losing.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
To the streets, drug addiction, victimization, incarceration. I really believe we must shift the unhoused and the foster care to prison pipeline. And my theory is, why not invest now? Then pay later? Because either way, you're going to pay.
I love when you say that, because it's so true. And you're seeing all these movies, right, that are coming out about the trafficking, and everyone going, save the children, save the children. How do I save the children? You start right here. This is how you help break cycles. This is how you break the demand of our children failing. This is how you start healing what's going on right here in our community. How you help is right now through this. I mean, tell everybody how they find you, how they donate. Let's get some that going.
Come on and visit our website. Get to know us. It is iamu360.org. Follow us on Instagram. It's I_am_you_360. Follow us on Facebook. Follow the movement, grassroots organization, making true impact in the community, true change. We all benefit. And I guarantee you'll want to join the I Am Somebody movement.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this is actually really big. David has been saying that is his passion.
This is my passion.
So definitely.
Kids
Now,
and unhomed. I'm like,
do you
all about it.
Need volunteers? Do you have any events coming up?
Yes. So we do have our first formal event, which is one good excitement or exciting announcement. It'll be September 16th.
Oh, count us in.
Please check us out on Facebook for all the details.
Okay.
But it'll be adult prom night. So you'll have the time to get dressed. And
now, can we sponsor?
So you can sponsor. Okay, you can sponsor. We're looking for food sponsors, alcohol sponsors, silent auction sponsors, donating, because I want to say this is Tucson's first
get it,
green tiny home community.
Wow.
10 at a time. So it's historical, not only done by a woman, but an African-American woman. doing the
So
work
powerful.
from lived experiences. So it's historical.
Oh, I love
To
that.
build green. These homes will be here for 100 plus years to come. We're building so different, never been done before in history of Arizona. So yes, so please check out our website, get informed, do your research, see the numbers of over 20,000 underserved youth in the Pima County communities. And I guarantee you with that being educated and self-awareness will definitely get conversations going, which to me leads to funding.
Yeah.
It is tax
absolutely.
deductible,
Yep.
and we're also a QFCO. So either way,
Yeah.
you're not only helping, but then also having opportunities to get some of your donated dollars back.
And this matters. I can't tell you how important this foundation nonprofit is. I mean, what you're doing, Queen, and I love it because when I hear Queen, I'm always like, yes,
Yeah.
Queen, because they will tell me, and Michelle will go,
Michelle will get
will
me
call me
hyped up
Queen,
on it, yeah.
and now I'm stuck on saying it, and I love that because you're telling people you are royalty.
powerful.
You deserve this. You deserve happiness, and I will tell you guys, and I've told this to so many people. You want to feel happiness. You want to feel joy. You want to feel peace. You want to feel a high that you have never felt before. Give. Give.
Help.
Give financially, give your time, give in prayer. Do those things because giving matters. And it's the biggest, most amazing high you will ever have.
Right.
And I'm okay with you chasing that high because that high is a great
great
high.
one. Yeah.
It's priceless. You can't put a price tag on that.
You can't.
And can I just say one thing? We are about 60% done. We're now in the roofs category.
Okay.
So someone, a local church donated $75,000. We did find out that there's some other moving pieces that are needed to install those roofs. So we're $144,000 short
Okay.
of our next phase. This has been a community effort, from
Yes.
from the bartending, the neon
Yeah.
bartending event, 100 plus women. It's all been community, right? The city, personal donations to get to where we're at now. Our goal is to get this project done by end of summer, early fall for move-in ready. So to answer your question, you can help by helping paint, put the knobs on the doorknobs, staging the bathrooms and the bedrooms and the living room, because this is fully furnished, mind you.
Okay.
Putting their baskets together, helping with the horticultural piece, whatever your desire is, there is places for the community to come out and volunteer to get this thing ribbon cutting ready.
Let's get this ribbon cutting ready.
Desiree, what a great resource. Oh my God. I'm so proud of your journey, and I'm amazed by all the wonderful things that you're doing and how you were able to, think of these wonderful ideas in your own darkness. And that to me is always spectacular to hear. And I'm always in love with that.
You are
Thanks for being here. It's wonderful.
amazing. You are the queen. Let's just say that. And then
Yes.
before because we got to wrap up, you guys, can I buy a table, or is that there's things
so
like that?
we're doing individual ticket sales
Okay.
as well as sponsoring a table. We're still in the planning stages, but we will be announcing by next week what that will look like. You can
Perfect.
sponsor a table, buy individual tickets, come as a couple, come however you want, but come celebrate with us. We're going to dance. We're going to honor our sponsors and give them thanks and educate the community on how we can continue to provide safe and affordable housing. Keep in mind, we have 10 underserved youth that we have safely housed already. This new bill will bring us to 19. Our goal within the next year or so is to safely house 29 underserved young adults that need us the most.
I love that.
Love it.
Well, you
Can't wait to
can
see it happen.
guarantee that we will be there, and we will be sponsoring and either a table or wherever you need from us. We are there.
We are there.
You have our support. I've been watching this for a while. Been watching you, and just in total awe of you and your team.
Oh my God, my team, hello.
Yeah.
Yes, my queens, women led, right? 95% African American, never been done before, but we are working. This is a working board that has rolled up their sleeves and has gotten invested. I am nothing without my foundation, my team, from my board to my husband to my children to the volunteers. I'm just the face of IME 360, but there is so many behind the scenes that some you will see, some you may never see, right? But this work is not done just by me. There's so many moving pieces to make sure we're at where we're at today.
Yeah.
It's not because of just me. I just want to make sure that I give them a shout out and I'm honoring my team.
Well, they're amazing. And I know that you always are talking great about your team, and you guys are like a family, which I love. But we do have to wrap up. We are going to have their event in the link, their website. And so please donate. There is a calling that you will receive in your heart. And I'll tell you that you will not be disappointed if you put that donation to this nonprofit. It is wonderful. Desiree, you are amazing. You are a role model to just so many people out there. And I feel very blessed to have you here in my presence. And David you got him crying like a baby.
I'm in love.
And thank you everyone for listening and watching us Blair It Out.